What are the two things that real estate investors really want? They want to make a return on their money and they want to make sure that their property is all taken care of. After all, buying real estate is an investment and you want to make sure it's the right move. And speaking of the right moves, is investing in any submarket in Denver the right move? No, not all submarkets are created equal within the greater Denver area. In this video, we'll be going over what to avoid, what to look for, everything in regards to midterm rental strategy and what location you should look at. Not all real estate investing strategies are created equal. For example, long-term, mid-term, and short-term rentals, they're all different in their own regard and they all have their own pros and cons. And going back to my 2 points of what real estate investors actually want, they want to make a return on their money and they want to make sure the property is in good hands. Midterm rental strategy actually encompasses both. The long-term rental strategy does encompass number 2, where a lot of the people that stay for, let's say, 12 months at a time, they treat it like their own home. But the thing is that these long-term rents just don't cut it anymore. You can't make that much on long-term rentals. The short-term rental market can give you a return on your money and even more if you put in all the right amenities. The thing is that with people staying for 4 to 7 days at a time, the chances are they're going to treat it like a vacation home and not exactly like their home. I mean, I myself own a short-term rental, but it's not like it's happening every week or every month even. Maybe once a quarter where something breaks, but nonetheless, something does break every once in a while. And so with that, the happy medium is midterm rentals, where you got people staying longer than a month, probably 3 to 6 months at a time, and because you furnish it, people will pay a premium to stay in your home. All right, so the strategy is picked. So now how do you pick a submarket within the greater Denver area? And in order to do that and find the right submarket for you, let's look at the primary demographics for those looking for midterm rentals. So there's people in corporate, people for longer term projects that are coming to Denver for some reason. Number 2 are the people that are displaced, let's say families that need a place to stay while their kitchen gets rehabbed or things like that. Number 3, probably the most popular, are the people that work in the hospital or the medical industry. You got traveling nurses, you got doctors coming in and things like that. So now that we know our demographic of the corporate people, you got families, and you got traveling nurses, let's talk about where our property should be. So our renters will probably be in big corporate spaces, next to hospitals, or probably in suburban areas, or maybe just out of the urban areas, and not too far out in the boonies, right? And so with denser populated cities, hospitals, and more bigger event spaces, I think Denver is ripe for the midterm rental strategy. If you're looking for a real estate agent team that has done midterm rentals before and you just need help analyzing them or just need a sounding board to see if it's a right investment for you, hit me up. I'd love to help you out. Me and my team have done this before. All my contact information is down below in the description. Say less, let's get on a call. And speaking of calls, you can schedule a call with me. If you just want to talk strategy and just bounce ideas off of me, like I said, all my information is down below. The Calendly is down there so you could set up an appointment. Yeah, I'm trying to make it easy for you guys if you need some help with real estate. So speaking of specifics, where should we look specifically in Denver for our next midterm rental? Let's not recreate the wheel and actually look up to people who have done midterm rentals for a really long time. And I absolutely love this one book, and you should love it too and read it. 30-Day Stay, written by Sarah Weaver and Ziona McIntyre. In the book, the authors say that you should look for a midterm rental property within 5 miles of 2 hospitals. And it does make sense. I mean, usually hospitals are within denser populated areas and you have more of a chance of getting the traveling nurse demographic. And with that denser population, you might be closer to these event spaces and closer to freeways. So let's start with that. I'll put up on the screen here where a lot of the major hospitals are within the Denver area. And there's a lot of hospitals here, especially within the city of Denver, and there's maybe about a dozen here. And to understand the scale here, the distance between Common Spirit Hospital in Lakewood and Denver Health in Cap Hill is about 8.3 miles. So finding a property right in between those 2 properties in the West Denver area is a great start, and that's just one location out of the whole greater Denver area. Now let's get into what kind of properties we should be looking for the midterm rental. If you come from the short-term rental market, the strategy back in the day was more heads and more beds for top dollar. And the thinking was if you could get 2 families into one home, the budget increases and you got 2 families in one and you just make a lot more money that way. And nowadays, with the saturation of the Airbnb market, it's time to look at some other properties, for example, condos. And I know a lot of investors are against condos, but hear me out real quick. There's some 3 major points that I actually really like about condos. The bigger appliances like the washer and dryer are not within the units. They're actually a common area for those washer and dryers. That means if anything breaks, it's out of your control and it's more on the property management or HOA. And speaking of HOA, they can take care of the landscaping, some of the utilities as well. And it's just sort of like this bigger management that's not too hands-on within your unit, you know? And also condos tend to have better views. And if you have better views, you got better photos. If you got better photos, you can attract a lot more people. If you're convinced to buy a condo, there is one point that I want to make sure you know. Make sure you look for a condo with at least 2 bathrooms and possibly 2 bedrooms as well. And the reason why we look for these 2-bed, 2-bath places is because a lot of these traveling nurses travel with a friend or with a colleague that goes to the same hospital. So if you got 2 people living in one condo and they all have their separate bedroom and separate bathroom, I feel like you have a lot less headache or a lot less bad chemistry. Of course, single-family homes should not be ruled out because you got bigger homes. Sometimes people just like the extra space or they have dogs and need a yard for their dog to run around. Plus, with these bigger homes, a lot of the families that need to go from, okay, we're doing this big renovation on the home, we need a place to stay for, let's say, 3 months, they will move to these bigger homes as opposed to condos, especially if they got like a 4-piece family. And those families are mainly going to be communicating through the insurance agency. And there's a lot of midterm renters out there or midterm rental owners out there that talk to and communicate with these insurance agencies so that they make sure that their house is the next one up when a family has to be displaced from their home. This video is not exactly going to go over what to say to these insurance agencies because they can be really good work for you and just a great way to keep up the occupancy. So maybe that might come in a later video if there's enough demand from this. And I completely forgot, there's actually one more demographic there that can pertain more towards a midterm rental. And it is construction crew. Let's say for all the development that's happening within Denver, these crew members need a place to stay for a while, right? So that bigger home, let's say a 5-bedroom home with a kitchen built in, is so much better than, let's say, a hotel. And if you're looking for a single family home, make sure it's pretty close to the freeway so that they can have easy access to, let's say, the freeways or the projects that they're on or events and things like that. So wrapping things up, the midterm rental strategy is great, but it also follows the 3 main rules of real estate in general: location, location, location. If you're ever curious about a certain area or what it's like to analyze a property or manage a midterm rental, please hit me up. I am here for you. All my information is down below in the description. Make sure you like and subscribe as well if you want more content like this. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.